Poyo, my boyos, I'm Caden Rains, and welcome to my basement. Today we're looking at the Kirby Planet Robobo Nendoroid from Good Smile Company, but as a bonus, I also have the original Kirby Nendoroid that we're going to look at. But as an additional bonus, Poyos! So what I refer to as my Poyos here are technically Bandai Shokugan Kirby Friends minifigure blind boxes, though I feel like blind boxes is kind of a misnomer. Now, if you order them online, whoever you're ordering them from is just going to grab a random box out of the bigger box they come in and send it to you. However, and I'm sorry, I didn't keep any of the boxes for these, so I can't show you offhand, but when you pick one of these up, like I found them at Walmart, I've found them at Second and Charles, I've found them at GameStop and comic book shops. Which one you're getting, whichever, whether it's Car Kirby, Sleeping Kirby, UFO Kirby, Full of Water Kirby, Belly Full Kirby, I Got Me a Heart Kirby, oh no, I'm dying Kirby, Waking Up Kirby, Moon Kirby, etc. There's like 5 waves of these. These are not all of them. I had no desire to get all of them. But the one you're getting is on the front of the little box. I have yet to come across one that you don't know what you're getting. The closest thing to not knowing what you're getting is in each wave is there's going to be one like this. So this is actually the rare version where the default one has like a more yellowy white moon like you see most of the time. But you can get this rainbow effect. I know for one wave it's a donut, and the rare one, the donut, has the rainbow effect on its icing. Stuff like that. Otherwise, you always know what you're getting with these, which makes them, I give credit for. Because I'm not much of a blind box person. The closest thing I do is like Lego CMF for the most part. I mentioned this in the Digital Circus stuff, I believe. But, for the CMFs, you've always been able to tell outside of the VMU and half a wave like 2 years ago of the CMFs, you've always been able to figure out what you were getting. And so the fact that they just come out and tell you, with the exception of one per wave, what you're getting, and even then if I hadn't gotten lucky, quote unquote, I wasn't going for the rainbow one, but if I hadn't gotten lucky on this, I still would have got Kirby with the moon. So it is not a gamble outside of if you want this rainbow effect or not. So I give it a lot of credit for that. Beyond that, they are just little plastic figures. They don't do anything. They're shelf tchotchkes more than anything. When I move these along with the 2 Nendoroids we're going to look at to the shelf, they are just going to sit there, but they're going to look so cute sitting there. And that's what you got to ask yourself. Do I want to spend $5 to $6 on one of these little guys, or do I want to save that for another time? I will say I didn't get all of these at the same time. I'd feel pretty dumb if I had, but I guess in the end it's the same amount of money. But if you're not into little things like this, and I really only did it for Kirby because it's Kirby and I like Kirby, I'm not on like Ant Dude's level of Kirby enjoyment, but I have played almost all the games, and he was my main in Smash Bros for a really long time. It took me a while before I started to really try with other characters, because why try with other characters when you've already got Kirby? When you already decided to beat the World of Light with only Kirby, because he's the starting character, and you even beat all the stages where being on a light character really was a detriment, because it's Kirby. So anyway, if I'm not saying anyone should go out and buy these unless you just want some Kirby paraphernalia, but I'd prefer this over like a random t-shirt that I can't wear most days. So at least I'll have some extra Poyos on my shelf. And for me, that's enough. You know, again, bonus points for not having to be a true blind box if you get them in person, and for being cute. Look, he's sleepy. That's cute. Don't say it's not cute, because it is. So anyway, those are the Kirby Friends minifigures. There's again, well, not again. There are some other characters, mostly like Waddle Dee, that show up in this series, but I've never gotten the Waddle Dee hype. If you're a Waddle Dee enjoyer, let me know down below why you enjoy Waddle Dee. I don't dislike him. He's just there, as far as I'm concerned, most of the time. So, you know, whatever. So anyway, those are the Poyos, the Kirby Friends minifigures. Let's take a look at the original Kirby Nendoroid and then break out the Kirby Robobot Nendoroid. All right? All right. So here is the base Kirby Nendoroid along with some of his accessories, that being Star Wand, an alternate hand, which I'll go into in a minute, the sword for the swordsman power along with a hat for that. Then we've also got the flame power hat as well as a burst of flame, which, you know, makes sense. Kirby is a little bit different than some of the other Nendoroids. We've touched on a couple here, and then we will look at some more in the future. But Kirby is just a bunch of magnets, which I think is really well done. So, at least his limbs mostly are magnets. There is one with his face, which if you see there's a seam, but it also clips in like that. So, that's the back of his body, that's the front, that's his default face, and then he comes with a couple others that all just click in the same way. So there's him full, there's, you know, angry Kirby, or action Kirby, whatever you want to call it, and then you've got, you know, suction power Kirby, where he's sucking up the enemy. So all those just click in pretty easily. You have to apply a little bit of force, but it's just enough to get it out. And then his limbs, you know, they just attach. Now, the downfall to this is that you can't really have him standing on his own. And unfortunately, because this was the first Nendoroid I ever got, like, I've had him a while now, since, 2 moves ago? I'm not even sure how many years ago that was at that point. Anyway, since I've had him a while, and I didn't really understand everything about it, the stand, which he, just like the Skeletor and whatnot, he had a little base plate and then an arm that went in there. I had him posed like he was jumping, like this, and I just left him in the air, and eventually the arm kind of broke, which is why it's not out right now. Which is also why you may have noticed him on the couch in the background of some of my sewer lair videos, because that's where he's going to be, because the Planet Robobo version also comes with a Kirby, the same size and everything as far as I'm aware. We'll see in a minute. But so that's kind of a bummer that he can't stand on his own. Even most of them can at least stand on their own, even if you can't pose them much without the base. But beyond that, like I say, he's got this alternate hand, sticks on the same way, and then you put, well, and then you can just stick, there we go, stick those on. Might need a little finagling, but the sword is also the heaviest bit. All right, physics isn't helping me right now. I don't plan to have him holding anything, but just to show, the hats also have a magnet. So you just stick them on, and there you go. Now he's Sword Kirby. Like that. It's fun. It's neat. It's fine. Now, I don't know how well it's coming across, but yeah, there's some of that discoloration there. One thing that I also learned about Nendoroids from having them, you can kind of see the scuffs on here, That's just sort of existence, and partially because he was in the sun. Well, not constantly. He was on a bookshelf, and the sun would run across the shelf he was on for a while each day, and it causes this, I guess, kind of breakdown buildup effect. You can wash it off with warm water and just a little bit of soap by letting it soak and then, rubbing it gently, but it's still going to have an effect. So if you get Nendoroids, and this kind of goes for most toys and collectibles anyway, but if you're going to get these, make sure you don't leave them out in the sun. It's not going to affect every piece the same way because it mostly affects the softer plastic that they use for some of the pieces. Like the star rod here, looks like maybe the paint isn't as good as it used to be, but it still doesn't have any of that buildup. And these translucent pieces are generally fine from what I've, from personal experience. So if you have Nendoroids, if you get them in the future, just keep them out of the sun for more than a short burst. And then if you do get that buildup, submerge it in not hot water, but warm water, a little bit of soap. Let it sit there for a couple hours, and then gently scrub it, not with like a toothbrush or anything. That'll leave more scratches. So as far as Kirby base Nendoroid goes, I like him. I'm glad he was my first because he works even without, other Nendoroids, because Nendoroids mostly have their own weird little chibi scale, but Kirby's just Kirby. Hi. Well, that's looks more like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Hi. But I've always enjoyed Kirby. My first game with him was Kirby 64, and that was a grand old time. And then Kirby Air Riders on the GameCube, and so on and so forth. I've gone back and played most of the old ones, and so forth. So I enjoy Kirby. I think this is cute. I learned a bit about this brand of toy, this type, with the Nendoroids from him. So that was neat, I suppose, as a learning situation. But now that we've seen base Kirby, let's take a look at the newer one, which I think came out last year. I don't think because it's been in my basement. I got it after I moved here. So it's been out less than a year, or about a year at this point. And let's take out the Robobot and see how it works. So here is the Planet Robobot robot along with the Kirby he comes with. And I didn't realize this till just now, but it actually comes with 2 base plates. Second one's right here. Because the robot, due to its little legs, really can't stand too well on its own. If it was leaning against something, I guess it could. But I hadn't thought about that until I opened it up. And yeah, he needs that if you want to have him standing upright, really. So that's a little bit of a bummer. I guess I should have expected it since it's basically the norm for Nendoroids, but I hadn't considered it for whatever reason. As far as the Kirby's concerned, he is basically identical to the one we just looked at, the old one. The only real big difference is his expression. Otherwise, it's all the same pieces, and it works the same way where his face just comes off. So that is, fine. He doesn't come with any extra expressions in this one, although he does come with an extra piece of headwear, that being his, pilot's cap that he gets in the game whenever he jumps in the Robobot. So that's neat. And then he just goes in the pilot seat. The only issue I have with that is in order to make him fit, you have to take off his arms. And I know you never see his arms, or at least I don't remember any time you see his arms in the game while he's in the Robobot. But it's just, I find it a little awkward if you try to have him, like, reaching over, because now it impedes his cheek blushes, or splotches, or whatever you want to call that. So I'm a little let down by that. It's not the end of the world or anything. It still looks fine. There we go. So, you know, it's fine. It's a little thing. I shouldn't. It's probably not something I should even complain about. But that is how it looks in the game. So it makes sense that they scale it that way. I kind of imagined him with his little arms over the edge or waving or something. And I guess if I took his cap off, I could make it look better while doing that. But you got to have the cap. The cap's part of the whole look, as far as I'm concerned. And that's, you know, it's my toy and my video and my shelf, so my concern is the one that matters in this situation. As far as the Robobot itself, so in the game, its limbs kind of float off of it. So that's why we've got these clear pieces here. And you can pose it fairly well. I will say from just my initial play testing on this arm, and I wonder, maybe, oh, it came loose. All right, never mind then. I was going to complain about that arm being loose, but it came out of its joint a little bit, or its socket there. So that seems to have, yeah, that seems to have fixed it. So now it's not like the most flexible, opposable thing ever, but you can get some look at poses out of it. Give it kind of a come at me bro look. It doesn't have fingers, so there's another pose you could have done, but all of the joints basically use something like this, same as most Nendoroids do. It just hides Kirby. So if you want to take him apart for like a battle damage effect or whatever, I mean, it would just be missing a limb, but you could. So it's fine. As far as the arms go, legs don't have much. I mean, yeah, they've got the ankle, and that's a ball and joint there. So it can technically go in almost 360 until you get to his ankle. And then it's got some posability with where it meets the ball of the design. But you're not going to do much with those legs. Like, you're really just going to, is he going to be leaning forward? Is he going to be leaning back? Is he going to be standing straight up? That's about all the legs are going to give you as far as looks. So I do wish you could do a little bit more with how the robot poses, but it's not terrible by any means. And I think it's going to look fine once I get in place with some of the other Kirby stuff and some of the other stuff that's coming for that part of the shelf. On the whole, I do really like the Robobot. Now, I think I think the fact that I have the original Kirby and some of his accessories make it, give it a little bit of a bonus, since the Kirby here only has the one expression. That means I could trade him out for here, except for the one where he's got a mouthful. That wouldn't fit in here. But otherwise, that gives a bit of a bonus to how this looks. Now, I'm going to keep this Kirby in here while original Kirby goes back to the couch messing around with everybody. Originally, he was going to be sitting at the table, not standing at the table the way Garfellow and them are over here. But I could, with the table and chairs I currently have, he kept falling over. So maybe eventually he'll get to join the buffet, and I'll give him the eating mouth. But for now, this is the Robobot Kirby. I like both of these, and I was actually really surprised at the Robobot pricing. I can't speak for original Kirby. I got him off eBay secondhand for like $20 a decade ago or something. It's maybe not that long ago, but I got him for a steal. Like, I think he might have been stolen, honestly. But now he lives with me, and I didn't steal him. I bought him, so don't at me, bro, I guess. But this one, now I got him before we got into like a bunch of the tariffs and stuff that's affecting everything. But even with this big body, he was only like $50. I was really surprised by that, because most Nendoroids are already like $40. and this is bigger. I mean, look at this base Kirby was probably 30 something originally before some of the prices went up. At least I'm guessing. I got him secondhand, so I don't know. But for $50, that's a fair amount of plastic. Like there's another Kirby Nendoroid based on the Kirby Cafe in Japan. I think it's on pre-order right now, and he's got a little chef hat and his other eating mouse that are a little cuter, and I believe a little speck that's magnetic that goes on his cheek. I don't know. I know there's a little speck, but they show it on 2 of the faces, and they also show at least one of those faces without it. Like it's cream, a speck of cream. So I'm like, oh, that's neat, but it's $47, and I already have 2 Kirby Nendoroids. So I'm trying to be frugal with that. As much as I like Kirby, I only need so many of him, and I'd rather put that money towards getting some of the games I don't have or haven't tried. So that's my thought process on the upcoming Kirby Nendoroid. I'd like him, but I'm good with these 2. I think what you're getting with these 2, and because I think you can still get this one. I don't know about original Kirby. I know they have re-released him at points. They recently did a re-release of Meta Knight, and I almost got him, but I missed the window to pre-order it, and I don't know if I'm gonna try and chase it down when it just generally re-releases. So I'm a little disappointed in that, but at the same time, I've got other things I got to spend money on, have to. So I'm probably just gonna stick with the 2 Kirby Nendos I have. And all that rambles again to say that Planet Robobot Kirby, great. Regular Nendoroid Kirby, great. Don't leave them posed where they're jumping for a month straight, because that will strain the plastic on those arms, and they probably and break. So that's my other tip besides the cleaning. Now that we've seen these guys, let's put them on the shelf, see how they look, and go from there. All right. So here is Kirby back in the midst of the party, cheering on Jack Skellington as all of these other toys go about whatever business they're doing in the moment. But Kirby's just chilling, because Kirby's a chill dude. Now, the rest of the Poyos, they are going to be over here. For the time being, we've got Robobot Kirby in the center there, with the Kirby friend figures around, except for this one, who is giving a little heart to one of the Dark Magician girls, because I am like that. I kind of feel like I might start moving some of the Poyos to other sections of the shelf, just sort of as hidden little Easter eggs, I guess. But for now, Robobot Kirby can be guardian of the Poyos. I especially thought it was kind of funny to stick the death animation Kirby there. I don't know why. It's just it amuses me. But I think I think moving some of them around so they're not all in one place. Still keep several of them here, but put some of the others as Easter eggs, the way I did that one. I think that might be a thing to do. When, who knows? But we'll just see as we go. On the whole, though, I'm happy with my small Kirby collection of figures. Like I said, there are other ones, Meta Knight, Cafe Kirby. I think there's a DDD Kirby Nendo too, but I don't have that, and I probably won't get it. I don't have anything against DDD. I mean, he's a fine enough antagonist / ally. I've never been a fan of his, I guess. So whatever. So that's just me, though. That's an aside. So that's my little Kirby collection. Let me know down below if you've got any of the friend figures, or either of the Nendos, or any of the Nendos I don't have, to let me know how you feel about them, and if you think my little setup with them here is good or not. Do you think they should be in a different part? Do you think I should let original Kirby to the feast even if he can't stand upright? Because I don't want him to fall over. That's the whole reason he decided to be Jack's cheering squad. But anyway, regardless of how you feel about Kirby's, and I hope you like Kirby, if you don't like Kirby, you'll be hurt E. Yeah, that was real good, Caden. Real good. But anyway, regardless, let me know down below, and I hope you had a good time in my basement today, and I'll see you in the next one.